The Film Learnin 60K short film competition with over $1,000 in prizes is now on. Head to filmlearnin.com to download your entry pack and to enter your short film.
And how come Batman doesn't dance anymore? Remember the Bat-2-C?
Hey guys, welcome to Film Learnin, the show dedicated to learn you some filmmaking and learn you good. And what the hell is that sound? Yes, that's right friends, we're back with yet another effects pack. This one I'm calling the Batman Batswarm effects pack, or as my son would say,
"Hey Dexter, can you say Batman?"
It's a set of 13 animated sequences of bat swarms flying around at various speeds and scales. You've got some close-ups, some medium shots, and of course some far shots, and just like with our strike and anime effects packs, all of these animations are alpha channeled PNG sequences that will work with basically any compositing software out there. And once again, this pack is 100% free to all my subscribers to this channel. So if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button below and be sure to click the bell and turn notifications on, because this is the first of many effects packs guys. So head to filmlearnin.com, click on downloads and grab the pack for yourself. So how do you use them? Well, let's jump into After Effects and take a look. Eh, Lawrence?
My God.
Okay guys, here we go with a little bit of a tour before we jump into it. Just like with the anime effects pack last week, I've downloaded and unzipped the pack, and as you can see we've got all our animations in our own separate folders here, and we've also got the preview folder right here along with the usage terms and credits. So if we want to pick a animation, anyone, the easiest way to do it is to just open up the preview folder, and as you can see we've got all our preview movies ready and waiting for your selection. So all we have to do is just open one up, then you'll see it all against a green backdrop, so they're a lot easier to see. And that's it dudes. All you gotta do is just pick whatever movie you want, just go okay, I want Fly By Far MS, and then go back here and then find Fly By Far MS. Simple as that. Let's now jump into After Effects and I'll show you a couple of example compositions of how you can use this Bat Effects pack. Alrighty guys, here we are in After Effects and I've got a couple of example shots here. We've got the bats flying through the Ninja Turtle poster straight at camera. See, we've got a bit of camera shake going on there. And we've also got when Bat Grant stands up and he's got the bats swarming around him. So this is the one I want to focus on more so than the Ninja Turtle poster, because this one's a pretty easy effect and all the same principles do apply. So let's just jump over to this effect. You can see I've pre-comped it and added a bit of camera shake. This really helps sell the effects of the bats being that force of nature that are just whooping by, and because naturally they would affect the camera. So let's just jump into that pre-comp and see what we've got going on here. Now firstly what I want to do is just take out our footage and just see what we've got going on here. You can see we've got a lot of different layers of bats going on here. Now the same principle do apply for every single layer here. So let's just click on one and just head up to the effects controls. You can see I've got some color correction, and if we come down here we've also got some camera lens blur and some directional blur. Now because these ones are the closest possible bats, if I just solo them and just do a quick preview, we want those to be just a little bit out of focus. So I've just added that camera lens blur to accomplish that. But what I've also done is add a bit of directional blur. Now if I turn both of these off, you can see this is what we're left with. This is the original file. Now you can see the bats do have a little bit of motion blur on them, but really just consider this just a base level of blur. I really want you to just jump in there and have a good play. I've added a little bit of blur, but not really enough. So I've added a little bit of camera lens blur just to give it a bit of depth of field, and of course the directional blur as well, just to simulate that motion blur, because if you're trying to use pixel motion blur or real smart motion blur, because these bats are moving so fast, it's not going to be able to calculate properly and it's just not going to work. So if I unsolo that one and then we solo say the one below it, you can see we have the same thing going on here. We've got color correction and we've got some directional blur. This one's been cranked up a little bit more. So you can see this is what the bats originally look like. A little bit of blur, but not enough. Once we add the directional blur, they look like they're moving a lot faster, and it sort of simulates that motion blur once again. And same thing applies for these bats as well. Now if we turn everything back on, you may notice it, but you may not, but the bats are actually flying behind me. Now, how did I do that? How, if you just seen what I was farting around with just then, you may have noticed. If I solo this layer, you can see I've actually done a pretty rough mask of myself. It's not too bad, but it's not great. And there's a reason for that. If I unsolo this and do a preview, can you see that this thing's been rotoscoped with all that crap flying around? No, you can't. So by all means, you can get away with a rougher rotoscope in shots where the bats are just whooping by the front and the back. But if you want to go super detailed, you can. And that's pretty much all it is to it, guys. It's just essentially layering. So here's our original shot. Here's 2 layers of bats that I've put at the back. Same thing, guys. Color correction, directional blur. And as you can see, since these bats are flying this way, their directional blur is going in the opposite direction to this directional blur. But that's it, guys. Color correction, directional blur, and some camera lens blur if you've got some going right at the front or at the back. You can totally just base that on the depth of field of your shot. Now, once you add it all together, pre-compose it, and then add a little bit of camera shake, this is what you end up with. Pretty cool, huh? Same rule applies for this shot where they're busting out of the glass. If we open up the pre-comp, you can see we've got our fly it cam, bit of color correction, bit of directional blur. Now since these are flying at the camera, we've just got the directional blur pointed down rather than an actual direction. It's just a cheat. Nothing more complicated than that. And all I've done is just layer a whole bunch of stuff from Action Essentials 2 on there. So if I just pluck out the eye and just do a quick preview, you can see that's a pretty lame effect without the bats in it. So we've got glass coming off the side here. It just all around looks crappy. But once you throw the bats in, pre-compose the whole thing, add a bit of camera shake, suddenly it doesn't look too crappy. But guys, that's essentially it. Add your bats, color correct them, layer as many as you like, add the directional blur, pre-compose your footage, and then add a bit of camera shake, and that's it. It's not more complicated than that. So jump on to filmlearnin.com, download the pack, and have some fun. So guys, that is the Film Learnin Bat Swarm Effects Pack 1.0. I'd love to make another one of these and really get a lot more detailed. So if you enjoyed this pack, please like and share the video and give me some feedback down below in those comments and we'll try to make it better. Once again guys, that is my time. We have a lot more exciting tutorials coming your way, including a Star-Lord helmet effect, a brand new Iron Man HUD, and some more voice effects. So if you haven't subscribed, click right there and maybe check out my Patreon or enter our 60k short film competition, or maybe just check out this other episode of Film Learnin. My social media crap is above my head, and until we roll around next week, keep learning.